Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. Today I'm talking with my good friend Quianna Marie all about showing up authentically online and in your real life. If you enjoy following me, you will love her. She is bubbly and fun, vulnerable and real, and we love that. In this conversation, we talk about being multi-passionate entrepreneurs, creating new offerings, pivoting during the year of 2020, and being brave enough to show up as our truest selves and build meaningful relationships with people and even making new friends. Because let's be honest, it's hard making friends with new people when you're in your 30s. But today she's going to give some actionable tips to really inspire you to go out and be your truest self online and to live a life that is aligned with your purpose and your vision and your overall calling. So I can't wait for you to dig into this conversation. Quianna is a destination wedding photographer, and she also educates photographers. She is a wealth of knowledge, and her Instagram is always a party. So be sure to check her out at Quianna Marie. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. Hi, Quianna. Welcome to the Good Hearted Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Of course. So I want to just jump right into it. And I would love to know, I feel like we have kind of similar personalities where we're both kind of bubbly, fun, all of these things. But was there ever a time where you felt like you kind of had to hold yourself back when you were online and like trying to be a professional business owner and kind of had to like water yourself down or anything like that before?
Oh, absolutely. And it really started, I'd say years ago when I started my business, I was a photographer. Like I wanted to be your photographer. And so I was shooting everything. I was shooting newborn photos and high school graduations and families and engagements and all the things, which was incredible because I was getting that repeat business and I was making super genuine connections with families that even to this day, I call them my groupies, right? Like I get to see them every year for mini sessions. Yes. And I love that. But I just remember there was this pivotal moment when I started investing in education and getting myself out there, traveling and just exploring and going to different conferences and workshops. And I remember it was these, incredible industry leaders that were teaching us to drill down and to niche, and then even go deeper, right? And so I felt kind of stifled where I wasn't posting all of that fun stuff. I wasn't posting behind the scenes of my mini sessions, or I wasn't posting that I got invited to bachelorette weekends with my brides when I had time to do that when I first started, right? Like I wish I could do it often now. But right? Like I had such a fun life back in the day. And I felt really pressured to only post style me pretty status wedding images, or to simply just show up in a very elegant and kind of foo-foo, la 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 way, right? So, and I know that that's easy. That's easy for us to understand as, you were once a photographer and you understand like that photo la la land. I really did feel stifled that I had so much to offer. I am so multi-passionate, and I really felt that I had to dive into this specific niche to gain that clarity and to gain that expertise. And so it wasn't until I realized, okay, I have so much more to offer here. I have fun at what I do. And once I started realizing, I kind of started connecting the dots that at a wedding day, for a perfect example, I would be able to make a connection with another bridesmaid and I would shoot her family during the mini sessions, right? She's like, oh my gosh. She was like, you were so fantastic with my daughter. She hates photos and you made her feel like a princess. So we need to do our Christmas photos with you. Right. So I was making these connections, and then I would chop it up with one of the groomsmen who was starting a brewery, for example. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let me come to your shop. I want to photograph this for you. And so I started really expanding and honestly just being myself, doing what I do. I'm a natural connector. I love positive energy and being around people, like being around dreamers and creatives. And when I finally just kind of put my arms in the air and I gave myself that permission to just be me and to share how I am genuinely making these connections with these families that are bringing in organic referrals and lining me up with these big, big dreams that I just felt so stifled in the past that once I started opening up and sharing my goofiness and my love for country music and the fact that I love wearing cowboy boots. Like that was a thing that, I mean, I'm not even joking when I say that. I had industry leaders telling me to remove cowboy boots from my website, right? I know I roll because it's like, it wasn't high end or something. And I'm laughing because I just laugh. I'm
Right,
like,
right.
do you even know how much
Oh,
designers
yeah.
make? Like,
Right.
it's not even about the money, but
Seriously.
yeah, but these are my people. And once I
Mhm.
started opening up and sharing more of the laughs and just like the
Mhm.
genuine connections, that's when I just feel I kind of skyrocketed. I stepped into my
Mhm.
purpose and I started sharing more about the journey of my business
Mhm.
instead of just, hey, look at these shiny images, because that's
Yep.
not what I'm selling. I'm selling the experience. I'm selling me. I'm
Yes.
my own living brand.
I can relate to that so much where I felt like I was stuffy and just like doing those very like polished portraits online and like trying to be way more professional than I was. I can definitely see how that would be freeing to just be like, screw it. Like, I am going to do what makes me feel good. How have things changed for you since you kind of started embracing that different mindset? Since you were just kind of like, I'm just going to be myself and show the things that make me happy and that are fun.
Yeah. So right away, I found a quick return on families, and I would call them clients and couples that were just
Mhm.
like me. So I kind of created
Mm,
this like, oh, hey, she's just like me, or she reminds me of my big sister, or I want someone like her to
yes.
be a cheerleader and a soul sister in my life. And so I was
Mhm.
literally a magnet for those types of clients and those deep, deep
Mhm.
connection friends. And I will tell you, I am beyond grateful that I put the work in and I kind of flip that switch to just say, hey, you know what? I'm just releasing all the crazy and I'm releasing the fun. And
Yes.
because, okay, so going back to recently with the pandemic and all this craziness, I am not
Mhm.
even joking when I say I took a hit of losing over 80K to 100K last year. I mean,
Oh my
it was a
god.
hit with weddings that were
Yeah.
rescheduled, weddings that were lost.
Mhm.
And it's funny because people that, not that it's funny, but people that aren't in the industry, they're thinking, oh,
Mhm.
well, 2021 is going to be crazy for you. You're going to make up for it. And I just laugh
Mhm.
because I think, no, I actually lost an entire wedding because my calendar
Yes.
dates, they're my inventory. And once
Mhm.
they're gone, right?
Yes.
So my point is because I was authentically myself and I
Mhm.
shared just my daily life, my cooking, my car. I shared adventures, kayaking, and I just shared so many pieces of my heart. I truly
Mhm.
felt that I connected with people that were like me. Now, good or bad, we're all
Mhm.
crazy. But what I'm
Right.
getting at, yeah, but what I'm getting at is that these people, these couples were so genuine and so kind hearted that during the
Mhm.
chaos of reschedules and cancellations, and I dealt with over a dozen brides and couples that had 3 wedding dates. I mean, it was just insane.
Oh my
But they
gosh.
were so kind and they treated
Mhm.
me like a human. We put each
Right.
other's hearts first. And right, it
Mhm.
wasn't like they were calling Amazon looking for a refund. Okay.
Right.
They were calling me. And I
Mhm.
had so many couples that were so gracious about not just ripping me apart from their wedding day. And I
Mm.
had couples that were getting married on Tuesdays in their parents' backyards because they
Wow.
wanted to work with me. They didn't want to lose that
Mhm.
connection. And we honestly took
Yeah.
care of each other. And that I wholeheartedly stem that back to the fact that I was genuinely myself. I shared my
Mhm.
heart. I shared my wildest dreams. And they truly feel like they're a part of my family without
Mhm.
like getting weird about business and mixing that kind of stuff. Right. Like
Right, right.
it was still a very professional, relationship. But because
Mhm.
there was so much love and kindness behind it,
Yep.
it's honestly how my business kept breathing, and I'm still survived even after 2020.
Which is incredible. And from my experience as well, there is such a difference in that connection that you have with a couple who is excited to work with you and who just wants a photographer for their wedding day. It is a night and day difference. And those, I even just got chills because I like thinking of certain couples that have come to my mind, because
Mhm.
they do become like your family. Like you are their go to person that day. You probably take better care of them than anybody else does,
Yeah.
and you do create that bond on the wedding day, but it's almost like with your social media presence, you could kind of start that before, like long before their wedding day or engagement session or anything like that. And especially with the year that we had, we need connection with those kinds of people that make us feel really good and loved and taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's part of showing up and being your authentic
Mhm.
self, because you're going to find your people and they'll come racing towards you.
Mhm.
And it's funny, not to like kind of toot my own horn, but just to give an example of why each of us in our businesses should be showing up like this. I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many reviews I get and not one person says how pretty my pictures are. Like, it's so
Oh
goofy,
my gosh,
but it's true. They don't even mention
wow,
my photos.
yeah.
It's about the experience. It's how I made them
Mhm.
feel. It's how
Yeah.
their day was stress free, and all those warm and fuzzy
Mhm.
feelings that you want to feel on your wedding day. That I
Yeah.
kind of Jedi mind trick them, right? Like I helped
Right?
create, right? Like I helped create that, and there's a I
Yeah.
don't want to call it a science behind it, but just tons of experience that I'm able to bring to a wedding day.
Yes.
And so when you can create those genuine connections, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
people will support you to no end.
Right. And for the record, your images are beautiful, but that is
Thank you.
hilarious to me that, that doesn't come up in the reviews. But I think that means you're doing it exactly right because like you said, you have these diehard kind of clients or customers, and you said even friends too, just like when you're willing to be vulnerable, willing to be yourself, like you can just connect on that deeper level, which I feel like as humans, we desperately need that. I feel like there's so much magic and wonder and curiosity once we are able to do that and get to know each other on a deeper level. When you did decide to start showing up differently, like you talked about sharing more fun things, more videos and stuff, which I, of course, immediately thought of the car wash reel that you have, which I
Yes.
love. How specifically did you start showing up differently to kind of like show off your personality a little bit more and just let people in?
Okay, so first of all, this is such a great conversation because I feel as we get so close in our business, there are
Mhm.
certain things that we just like our clients just can't relate to, right? So, for example,
Mhm.
I deal with the most incredible couples all over the country, all over the world, and they cannot identify with being a wedding photographer, right? So I can
Mhm.
post things about wedding days and they may be inspired, but let's say I have, a couple that I've done their engagement session, I've done their wedding, and
Mhm.
they're still following me because they love me and they want to support me, but there aren't any timed things that are relatable that kind of keep us connected.
Mm.
So if I'm
Mhm.
only posting about weddings and wedding shoes
Yes.
and wedding venues and bridesmaids dresses and groom's speech ideas, right, which are all
Mhm.
incredible content ideas, just take notes on those, but
Mhm.
wedding photography.
Right.
um, but once I started really branching out and sharing about my life and sharing about being single in the wedding industry. Like I am still single. So
Mm.
to give a recap on
Mhm.
this car wash video that we're chatting about, my cousin, she, here in Arizona, she's like, Key, you have got to go to the car wash. There are so many hot guys and trucks at the car wash, right? And so
Yes.
yes, and there was this trend on TikTok that was all about single ladies, you should be going to Home Depot to go check out these good-looking guys, right?
Mhm.
So I made a spin off that and said, no, no, ladies, skip Home Depot or Lowe's. You should be going to the car wash. So
Yes.
I cannot believe how many hits I got and how
Mhm.
just people were laughing and sharing it and connecting with
Mhm.
me. And those are the types of kind of like random pieces of your life that can be personal.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't want to share your relationship status
Sure.
online.
Mhm.
Totally understandable. But those are things that are going to connect with people and make them laugh. So if you can
Yes.
start kind of picking apart your daily life and you can start sharing what
Mhm.
you're cooking, you can start sharing about your dog, you can start sharing about
Mhm.
your children if you're comfortable doing that as well. Just think about you doing everyday things that make you
Yeah.
human. And I think
Mhm.
that has been the biggest factor, and I even have my notes here where I used to always think about posting and sharing content, and it had to be about what I was selling and what I was offering.
Mhm.
And I came to
Mhm.
realize, especially during this pandemic and pivoting and shifting and creating new offers, that my camera is simply a tool. I am my
Mhm.
business. Like Quianna Marie is my business.
Mhm.
I have this really, really big goal of opening up my own wedding venue one day. And that is kind of like strung, right? Like that is kind of strung between
Mm-hmm.
all of the photo shoots that I'm doing. It's gearing me up for that. All the puzzle
Mm-hmm.
pieces are coming together. But like I said, if I was just posting about beautiful styled wedding shoots, it could be kind of
Right.
boring. Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
reason for people to get to know me and want to invest in this
Mm-hmm.
journey as I'm going after these big goals. And
Yeah.
I guess the best advice I can share with that is just literally focus on capturing instead of creating. So when it comes to content, you think,
Ooh.
right, you're already
Mm-hmm.
doing this. You're already making supper for your family.
Mm-hmm.
You're already
Right.
on a walk with your daughter, right? You're already doing
Mm-hmm.
these things. Just flip open the camera, start recording,
Yeah.
and just share little tidbits. Because you can always, I'm like the queen of taking daily mundane tasks, whether it's a trip to Target or sipping coffee, and I can always
Mm-hmm.
direct that back to your business, right? I teach that. I teach
Yeah.
that with my
Right.
content creators and stuff.
Yes.
And for photo shoots, I strategize all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at the core of it, it's totally okay to almost put your business on the back burner sometimes and truly
Mm-hmm.
be a living brand, truly live in your
Yeah.
purpose and share your story. Like I know you talk about this often, especially on the podcast that I love listening to. And it's just so important to kind of create those relatable moments and share them.
Yes.
And that's what's just going to just be like wildfire. And people are going to be relating to you. They're going to want to be cheering for
Mm-hmm.
you. And yeah, I mean, that's what's been a lot of fun during all this pandemic stuff. I've been really creative and creating these reels and TikToks, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just dancing in the kitchen. Like, this is me. Like, I
Yes.
don't want to be stifled
Yes.
anymore.
Right, right. It's like, because I feel like when we were both kind of really new at our wedding photography businesses, or a couple years in, it was like, you want your feed to look like a magazine. You want a lot of white space. Like everybody was kind of doing the same thing. And now we've realized, like, wait, like
Mhm.
that is definitely not working anymore. Things don't have to be perfect and polished. They can still be beautiful and bright and fun. So yeah, I love that we're kind of taking that direction. I'm loving it. Earlier, I think we both mentioned that we are both multi-passionate. We both pivoted a few times. How has pivoting kind of worked for you? What has it looked like in your business? And I just love that mentality of your camera is a tool. There are so many different uses for it.
So that was one of the biggest shifts too when I was creating new offers, because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
when all this stuff went down with the pandemic and quarantine was happening and I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
legally shoot. Like this was the most
Right.
paralyzing moment of my life, because I felt like
Mm-hmm.
if anybody's going to get in my way, it's me. It's not like the
Mm-hmm.
government or some virus or some
Yes.
health issue. Like, please,
Right.
like I'm only the one that like pumps the brakes. Like it shouldn't be like the law.
Yes.
And so that was very, very like destructive to my mental health.
Yeah.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of went into hustle mode. So I had worked so hard, and I'm saying over a decade, to get paid to have my camera in my hand, right? I worked
Mm-hmm.
so hard to literally be a wedding crasher and to just have the best day on wedding
Yes.
days and to get paid to be like an honorary bridesmaid on wedding days. It's just
Yes.
the best
Yes.
job in the world. And so
Mm-hmm.
when that happened, I honestly just went into this like meltdown mode where I thought, oh my gosh, weddings are dead. I'm never
Mm-hmm.
photographing weddings again. And in fact,
Oh,
oh yeah, it was bad. Like I just went because
yeah.
as you know, like just, from
Mm-hmm.
being friends for so long, like I'm very happy. I have very high extremes, but I also have
Mm-hmm.
very lows. And I hit hard. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
during one of my meltdowns, my mom kind of cornered me and she said, babe, weddings are simply between two souls. So whether there are two
Mm.
people there or there are 200 plus, they're still going to need
Mhm.
pictures. Okay. So
Yeah.
so
Oh, that's so
that was it
true.
is. And that was her thing. Cause I was just like, oh my gosh, the wedding photography is a luxury. And we all know that.
Yeah.
It's something
Yeah.
that you really don't, it's not, right. It's not food. It's not water. It's not healthcare. Like you don't need this to survive.
Right,
It's
right.
just a bonus. Um,
Mhm.
but so that was kind of my mentality. And so I bunkered down and I wanted to come out with digital products. I started selling,
Mhm.
they're called snail mail kits, where I'm teaching people to, because I'm such an advocate for love notes and thank you notes. So I
Yes.
created a whole little digital package like through Canva for you to customize and then send out to your own
Mhm.
clients. I created shot lists for photographers, and I'm working on a whole resource garden that I'm just so excited to share with digital products. But the problem is as we know, like for us to kind of create that longevity and to stick to something, like our wedding photography businesses, it took years. It took 5 to 10 years to create that income that we could rely on and that was sustainable. And so when I was making this shift to digital products, I was not making money. I maybe sold 4 things. Like it was crazy.
Oh,
Like
right,
I expected this overnight, right? So then I started freaking out and I thought, okay, at the end of the day, I have my camera. It is a tool and I may not be able to go out and shoot these weddings, like these, high number weddings and with restrictions, but I can shoot boudoir. So that's when I really leaned into shooting more boudoir because it was a safe environment. I could sterilize the crap out of everything.
Yes.
And I could only be just 2 people, like just me and, the bride or the girl in the room with me. We could social distance. I didn't even have to touch her.
Yes.
And that was incredible because not only was it literally saving my butt and creating a cash flow for myself, but these boudoir shoots were so powerful and so empowering for these young women that, these poor girls, a lot of them were proposed to in late 2018, 2019, planning their 2020 wedding. So these brides, like they're in the best shape of their life, right? Like they want to start family planning. And so they really wanted to just, at the end of the day, just feel like a bride. So I was able through these boudoir shoots to get them all dolled up. They got to bring their mom, their bridesmaids, whoever they wanted. And we just got to make them feel like a bride and just feel beautiful and capture these photos. So even if they aren't getting married till next year, or maybe they're just planning a little courthouse elopement or something, they still had these powerful images. And I was able to provide that. So that's my thing. So I felt like, yes, it's funny you say that. Like, how did you stay consistent and how did you like stick with one thing for a long time? because in my head, I kind of feel like I'm a spaz and I'm all over the place. But that's really what it broke down to is what can I shoot at a social distance and what can I do safely so I feel comfortable and safe and my clients feel comfortable and safe. But it's all tied together. Like now that I'm thinking about this, it's all rooted in my dreams of the future wedding venue. That's it. Because the wedding venue for me, I envision like a beautiful kind of loft where I can rent out to have like photo studios for other photographers and creatives. It would be a space to host retreats. Can't you just see Callie's Glow Ponent events at this venue, right? Like
absolutely. Yes.
It's happening. So that's how I feel like that alone, like this wedding venue dream is really the fabric, or I should say the thread of the fabric of all these twisted pieces that are coming together that just kind of fit the puzzles together. And that really is my focus. So when I feel like, oh gosh, I want to wake up and I want to go work on this project, or kind of like that shiny object syndrome, this isn't working for me, so I got to spin and do this. But I do. I know the power of patience and taking, and just things take time. They take more time than you need. And as you know, as a photographer, even to this day, I'm still doing things for free. Like I still do things for promotion. Like I'm not even joking. Like because I want to make a certain contact, or I want to photograph at a certain venue. I just moved out of state. So I need to make these connections. And so I think having that, and I know we talk about it often until we're blue in the face, but really, really understanding your why and why you do that. It's so cliche, and I get it. It can be kind of like, wah, wah, like we're talking about it all the time.
Right.
But it's true. When you understand your vision and where you're going, like what your end goal is, and then as long as your daily tasks and your daily routines bring you joy, and you're just kind of checking off little tiny things, just daily baby steps, it doesn't matter how you're going to get there. Like the road to that dream is going to be twisted and curved, and it's going to be a dirt road and dusty, and you're going to get lost. But just knowing where you're going and what you stand for and what your mission is, that's really what's going to string everything together.
Everything you just said was like so powerful and great. And I just want to acknowledge that. I feel like with 2020 probably a lot of people were like, I don't know what the hell my vision is anymore. Like it's
Right?
so different. And like, I have no idea what to expect, anything like that. So you kind of talked about how you worked through that. But if there's somebody who's just feeling kind of lost and not sure what to do next, what would you say?
Yeah, I would honestly say, first of all, like get off the phone, like turn social media off,
Mm,
get out of your
hmm.
own head, and
Yeah.
just, I know this sounds crazy because I know you're woo woo like me. So like this will make sense.
Yes.
You really just have to listen to your heart, and you really just
Mm,
have to spend time doing what brings you joy. That's it.
mm,
And I think,
yep.
and I'm not naive. Like I don't live in this bubble. I understand that life happens and bills happen and you have to make
Right,
sacrifices,
right.
and you have to
Mm-hmm.
take that job because you have to. And I
Mm-hmm.
am an advocate for pay your bills, sister. There's no shame in having multiple jobs
Mm-hmm.
as you are chasing. But just remember that even though you may have a shitty job that you're not really loving at the moment, there are
Mm-hmm.
so many hours in the day that you can direct and that you can put towards doing something that you love.
Mm,
And I think that's where people kind of get it wrong, is they kind of get stuck in this wheelhouse and they just feel stuck and there's
mhm.
no way that they can make money doing what they love. And
Right.
that's my soapbox. I say it all the time. I don't think everyone is designed to be a wedding photographer. If that's your
Mhm.
calling, yes, 100%, I support that. But
Yes, yeah.
there are so many occupations that I know people are just called to do, but
Mhm.
they don't show up for themselves out of fear. They don't think they can get paid to do it.
Yeah.
They don't know the steps they need to take. But I think at
Mhm.
the end of the day, if you can just like maybe scroll Pinterest and just kind of pin things that bring you joy and spark,
Mhm.
curiosity, and just fill your bucket to make you feel happy, that alone, like
Mhm.
that joy, like you need more of that in your life. And don't get me wrong, like
Yes.
work is work, right? I mean, we, like you say, like
Yeah.
shooting weddings, repetitively, like, yeah, I'd rather be on the beach with my bottle of Corona, like just sitting there, like,
Right?
like the
Yes.
beer, not actually coronavirus. But yes, like I want to
Right.
be, yeah, like I want to have my little cerveza. But it's true, like
Yes.
work is work. But if you
Yeah. Yeah.
wholeheartedly are like follow your passion and follow what you're called to do,
Mm.
oh my gosh, nothing gets in your way. Like nothing will stop
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
you do have to kind of silence the noise and stop looking for inspiration and just follow your
Mhm.
heart. Just follow your arrow. It'll lead you where you got to go.
Oh my gosh, that was a little quotable right there. I love it. But yeah, you're so right. Like, I feel like we let that noise take over. We've got to stop. We've got to stop letting that hold us back from what we really want to do, because I believe what you said. Like when you are in your purpose and you're following your arrow or your calling or whatever, you feel different. Even though the work is hard, you want to do it. You want to put in that hard work, and you're willing to be patient and to nurture it and watch it grow. And work can be fun sometimes too. Like you're talking about, the boudoir shoots are so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't even have to be like work related, right? I mean, we should be showing
Mm,
up. And this is another tip too. I forgot to mention, we were talking about being vulnerable and sharing your
mhm,
story and sharing more about your daily life and kind of becoming your own
mhm.
living brand. Get out there, go outside,
Yeah.
go kayaking, go hiking, like go throw an
Yeah.
axe. I don't know, like, pick up a painting
Mhm.
class or do fun things, because that is where you're going to meet your people. And that is where you're going to create
Mm,
even more genuine connections. So, for
mhm.
example, I just recently moved out here to Arizona. And the whole root of that move, to be perfectly honest and transparent, is because I can't afford oak trees in California, but I can afford
Yeah.
cactus in Arizona. Okay. So, like, that's
Right.
why I'm here. So I can afford desert land, but the Northern
Mhm.
California hills are just ridiculously overpriced. And so that
Mhm.
was part of like the root of the move. Now, when I got
Mhm.
here, I thought, you know what? I've invested so much in photography workshops and
Mhm.
conferences that I really wanted to kind of step outside of my little business bubble. And so
Mhm.
I really started reaching out to mindset coaches, and I joined
Mm.
fitness challenges. And it's
Mhm.
insane the amount of opportunities that I have made by like befriending these incredible girls. I mean, they're just like
Mhm.
us in like the Rising Tide Society, like
Mhm.
our kind of people, but they're in a
Yeah.
completely different industry. And so
Right.
when
Which is
yes, like it's insane. And that's the thing. Like I want to make it clear, when I'm going out and I'm making these connections and I'm trying to
Mhm.
put myself out there, I am only connecting with people that I feel that magnetic friendship and
Mm.
like I feel that vibe with, right? Like I'm not going out there
Yeah.
and faking it and like just trying to make a whole bunch of friends
Right.
and trying to rub elbows and be friends with everybody.
Right.
Like no, like if I feel off or they feel kind of weird or they're a little too stuck up for me
Mhm.
or a little too pretentious, like, okay, nice to meet you. See you never. Like
Right.
I don't care,
Yeah.
But but when I meet these genuine women that I'm like, I want to be in your
Mm.
circle. I see where you're going. I see
Yeah.
what you stand for. And we are made of the same stardust. Like I know that sounds cheesy, but
Mm.
it's true.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
And that alone has brought on so many opportunities for myself, right? So now I'm
Mhm. Mhm.
photographing masterminds for these fitness coaches. I've been on other podcasts and other webinars with
Mhm.
other industry leaders in their industry for mindset coaching and content
Mhm.
building and branding. So it has just opened me up, and it's simply because I was brave for like 2.7 seconds
Mhm.
and I signed up for that free challenge or I invested in a coaching course,
Mm.
and I did that for
Yep.
myself. I didn't do
Mhm.
that because, oh, I need to go sign up for this photo class. I did that
Yeah.
because I wanted that growth and I wanted to make friends.
Mhm.
And so anyway, that was kind of a tangent. I can go on about making new friends.
No, I love that because I'm almost 30 and it is very hard to make new friends, okay? So people might need to hear that like it's okay to reach out to people and to not like cold DM them and just be like, "Hey, I want this thing from you." Like take that time to be intentional, follow them, engage with their content, sign up for their offerings if they have any, and then see if you connect with that person and then connect with them even more down the road. And thank them for all of the free content that you get from them or whatever it may be. Like, because I'm done with like the surface level relationships and being fake. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
over it.
No time for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you were trying to find these new people, obviously you were in a new place. So how exactly did you find them? Because also I need to find some new
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. So honestly, it was through Instagram. So I started following these
Mm.
fitness girls. I was following meal planning from one girl here, local in
Mm-hmm.
Arizona. And there's another girl who was like my dream big sister who I was just following for her. She does like daily like hit workouts and stuff. So I was following her
Oh
doing
yeah.
just workouts at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then it quickly turned into a friendship when I showed up and I actually went to, it was like a mindset kind of coach, like living your best self, like women empowerment
Mm-hmm.
event. And I showed up
Love
and
it.
I offered to take pictures, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew I wasn't going to get paid for it, but I knew I could provide
Mm-hmm.
something, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like bringing a hostess gift. So instead of bringing wine and flowers to this
Yes.
party, I brought my
Mm-hmm.
camera and I introduced myself. And then for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of the girls, it was like instant friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And then it led to, oh, we're going to hike on Sunday. Please join us. And then another
Mm.
girl just recently opened up a really cool like tea and shake shop. And so I
Oh.
latched onto her and I thought, well, how can I
Mhm.
help you build hype and content for that? Like
Yes.
I'd love to do it. So that's how it
Mhm.
all evolved is because I'm crazy and I'm always thinking of content and I'm always thinking of like business is just
Yes.
like burned in my brain. Like I can't ever shut
Oh,
it
yeah.
off. But
Mhm.
when I genuinely was like, oh, I want to go kayaking with you, or oh, they're
Mhm.
meeting up at a restaurant for happy hour, or they're going line dancing, right?
Mhm.
Which is all the stuff that I love.
Love it.
I just jumped
Yes.
on board. And so
Mhm.
that's what happens. So don't be afraid to step outside of your industry and
Mm.
to simply show up. Like just go out to those restaurants and go do fun
Mhm.
things and just surround yourself with people that are just going to be doing what you love to do.
Yeah, I love that. And something I think you said on Callie's podcast before about content, and you kind of mentioned it here too, but just to get out and like live your life. And then that can be your content versus trying to do a styled flat lay of whatever. Like those are fine, but go have an adventure and take your camera out. And maybe you'll meet somebody while you're out there. Like there is a time to hustle, right? But there's also time to actually live your life and enjoy everything that you've worked so hard to do.
Yes, and I think it brings it full circle with creating that content and
Mhm.
becoming your living brand, because the more
Mhm.
you're out there just having fun, the more
Yeah.
engaging your followers are going to be, because they're going to
Mhm.
see that you're doing this and they're going to ask for recommendations and they're going to want to
Yeah.
join you. And as long, like, here's a caveat, like here's a little like asterisk to make
Mhm.
sure, as long as you're being proactive about setting expectations and you're getting those
Mm.
images delivered, right? Like, because I remember,
Yeah.
full transparency, when this was years ago, and I'd be out camping and they'd be in
Mhm.
my DMs or they'd be emailing me, looks like you're having fun on vacation, when can I expect my photos? And that was just devastating,
Oh,
right? right? So that
yeah.
almost that
Yeah.
kind of stifled me and made me hesitant
Mhm.
to post because if I'm
Yeah.
not posting, they just think I'm at home working, right? Like,
Right.
so
Like
so that's what I would do. And so then once I kind of got
Mhm.
the swing of things and I set those expectations and I would put up my
Mhm.
auto response emails and I'd even post on social media like
Yes.
I'm gone guys and my
Right.
people know like they know that when I'm out of the
Mhm.
office, I'm out of service. Like I'm not just like out of the
Yes.
office and sitting on
Yes.
my couch. I'm gone. So
Yes.
like I'm off the
Yes.
grid.
Yeah, I totally agree because everybody with a traditional 9 to 5 gets sick days, vacations, weekends off, like all of those things. And so just because you're a small business owner does not mean you have to be working 100 hours a week or whatever it ends up being, or having to be at everybody's beck and call. Like you can take that time off. And so a couple times you've mentioned living brand. Just say more about that because I'm very intrigued by this term. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So the best way to describe it, and I know this might kind of be far fetched, but the best way for me to describe my own living brand is to use Chip and Joanna Gaines as an example. So
Okay.
what I mean by that is, let's just say Joanna, like, or, Jojo, for instance, she could in the same day sell you a
Mhm.
candle, a house, a blanket, a, a,
Mm.
a cookie recipe. She could sell you a cupcake, like all the things. Okay.
She could
And
sell me like a piece of paper, like
yes, exactly.
literally
She could
anything.
sell you a pen and you'd be like, "Oh my gosh." So
Yes.
yeah, it's like anything at Target that, or at
Yes.
Magnolia and Waco, they
Mhm.
have this magic dust that anything they touch,
Mm.
you feel a piece of their brand. Now, whether you love them or hate them or you don't
Mm.
even know who they are,
Mhm.
they offer so much in simply being themselves. And so I think
Mm.
that like when I think of the living brand, like that's who I want to be. I don't want to be pigeonholed into being a destination wedding photographer or
Yeah.
just a boudoir photographer. I want to be
Mhm.
Quianna. So I am Quianna
Mhm.
Marie. So when you see my name, when you see my products,
Mhm.
when you see me live shooting, like that sounds bad, but when you
Mhm.
see me like out on a wedding day or at an event, I want you to feel something. I want
Mm.
strangers that may have come across me online or maybe haven't met me at all
Mhm.
and to feel something, to feel that they could be heard and that they're understood and to feel that they're inspired to chase after their wildest dreams. Like that's what I stand for.
Mm.
And so when you
Yeah.
can kind of, and like I mentioned earlier too, kind of how my camera is simply a tool, when you can
Mhm.
remove your services and your offers and just kind of like
Mhm.
take them off your chest, like I know that sounds kind of silly, but
Yeah.
if you could take them off
Mhm.
your armor and just be
Mhm.
you, you are the thread of your business. And so which is
Mm.
crazy because it's been the biggest blessing where like I mentioned Chip and Jojo, they can sell you a variety of things. That's
Mhm.
how I felt kind of pivoting and swirling through the pandemic is if I
Mm.
was posting about boudoir shoots, I got hits and people were instantly
Yeah.
they knew that they could expect that from me.
Mhm.
If I was posting about inspiration, about having a bad day and how I was doing like a running challenge with my neighborhood girls here, like
Mhm.
people expected that because that's a piece of who I am. If I went
Mhm.
out camping and right, like I was sharing just those types of experiences, it wasn't
Yeah.
weird or like this confusion of my business.
Right.
It was me. And so I think
Mhm.
that's what's so important. And I understand that there are some brands that like your products are, like Apple. Like Apple isn't really a person, right? Like those are
Right.
big brands
Yeah.
um, that they're products, and I understand
Mhm.
that. But I feel like there's so much power in the longevity of your business if you could
Mm.
be the brand, if you can be that
Yeah.
living brand. So as you're making these pivots and as you're making these changes, yep, you're going to lose followers or you're going to lose, your fan base, I guess if that is a thing. Because you're not quite sticking to what they first signed up for, right? But the
Right.
more you're
Right.
sharing your heart, the more you're going to get
Mhm.
true diehard fans of you, and people just want to see you succeed.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter what you're selling, right? Like, but
Mhm.
if you're on board and you're being inspirational and you're being genuine and kind and making people laugh, people are going to stick around and they want to see that progress. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of like 7 different ways to describe a living brand. Like, yeah,
It's perfect. I needed all of them. I didn't
yes,
know, but I needed all of them.
yes.
But seriously, that was such a good illustration, and honestly, it makes me feel so much more secure because I am multi-passionate. I like a lot of different things, but I always felt that, having to niche down and get so specific on my ideal client, that was hard for me. And when I was sharing more of my life, I felt just like what you said. The people who loved me and supported me and were invested in who I was were willing to be on the ride with me. You know what I mean? And so I think that can be really encouraging for anybody else who has gone through that. Any last advice for how people can show up authentically, or just any words of wisdom you have to kind of round out this episode?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like the best advice I can give is to stop watching and stop scrolling and start making.
Mm-hmm.
So just stop. Like, seriously, I feel like that's always my
Yes.
excuse, like, especially during the quarantine. And I was just always on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, just scrolling and laughing my ass off because those videos are
Yes.
so hilarious. And
Yes, I
soon it would
know.
be like 2 hours later, and I'm like, what am I
Oh
doing?
my God.
And I would always save audio, or I would save videos to kind of, as inspiration. That was always my thing. Oh, I'm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working, right?
Yes.
But I
Same.
think
Oh
that,
my God. Yes.
yes, but I think at a certain point, like you just got to shut it off, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to stop looking for inspiration, and you just have to be the inspiration. I mean, there's no
Yes.
other way to describe it. It's just, you have to pause everything else and just have fun, be goofy, start your own
Mm-hmm.
little series. That's one thing
Mm-hmm.
that's really helped. I help with a lot of my content creators, because I do a lot of photos for them too. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're feeling stuck creating content, I highly, highly recommend you coming up with a series. So whether that is a Manja
Mm-hmm.
Monday, where you're sharing your favorite recipes for the week, right? If you're fitness and
Mm-hmm.
into nutrition, or I love my wedding Wednesdays. And
Yes.
all this does is just create consistency and kind of create
Mm-hmm.
homework for yourself. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just fun. And I think at the end of the day, just as we know from a prime example of reality TV,
Mm-hmm.
people love watching people do stupid things. Like, like
Right.
just
Like the
doing
most
anything.
random stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love that. Trying to make content fun. That's perfect. So thank you so much for this conversation. It's been amazing. So many good takeaways. I was trying to note things without being too crazy and loud over here. So I would love for you to share with everybody how they can connect with you. And I know that you have some free resources that I'm definitely going to link in the show notes, but you can feel free to mention those as well if you'd like to.
Yeah, yeah. So I hang out on Instagram way too often. So that's kind of where I party all day. And you can
Yes.
find me at Quianna Marie. It's Quianna Marie. And
Mhm.
then same thing, my website, kiannamarie.com. You can find me everywhere online. And
Yes.
yeah, and then the free resources I have. If you are a photographer and you kind of spiked an interest in learning more about boudoir, I have a whole freebie on how to book more boudoir when you don't have a portfolio. So I love that.
Mhm.
That's super helpful to get
Love that.
started. Especially if, I mean, my little sales little tagline is, if you're looking to add about 2K extra of income a
Mm.
month, like, this is
Mhm.
something you can start implementing it today and really bless your family, or you just bless
Yeah.
yourself with your own bills, right?
Right. Love
Yeah.
it.
And then the second one is the Creative Kickstarter. So this is geared towards more creatives, but it's just
Mhm.
a great way for you to kind of like shake up your business. So whether you're starting from ground zero, or maybe you've been in business for
Mhm.
3 to 5 years and you just need to kind of like fresh take, and you kind of need to like do a little
Mhm.
facelift on some things, it's just tons of free content about that as well, and helping you really ignite some really fun content.
That's
Yep.
perfect. So I will link all of those in the show notes. Again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what you do over the next few months. It's going to be
Thank
exciting.
you. Thank you so much, Morgan.
Of course. I don't know about you, but my mind is blown from everything we just talked about, because Kiana just dropped so much knowledge and wisdom on us. I cannot believe this is free information. So please tell me that you had your notebook ready. If not, you can definitely go check out the show notes to get a more detailed version of what we talked about in today's episode. I just appreciate her transparency and how vulnerable she was in this conversation. I know she validated my feelings about being multi-passionate and just embracing that, not apologizing for it anymore, and knowing that it's okay if I'm not niched down to this super specific thing. We are humans. We're all different. Just because somebody is teaching something one way doesn't mean we all have to do it. So I feel like that is the permission that we all needed to just embrace whoever we are and however we work, to just live our fullest lives, to show up in a way that is true to ourselves, meaningful, and that feels really good for us. And chill the fuck out. Don't take it all so seriously. Go have some fun. Go hiking, go canoeing, go jump off a cliff like with bungees or whatever. But, do something that lights you on fire and that makes you excited to live life, because it's not all about work. Work is an important part, but there's so many other things that we can be doing with our life, like actually living it. And follow your arrow is going to be like in the front of my mind for weeks. I feel like just trusting the universe, trusting the journey, knowing that there is a reason we have gone through all the things we have. It's been just teeing us up for what's next, and truly believing in that. Even if we feel like there are mistakes in our past, it's okay to keep moving forward. We are not broken. It is okay to make mistakes and to learn from them. So follow your arrow, friends. Don't be afraid to show up as your truest self. And definitely go check out Quianna. So I am going to link her free resources in the show notes. You can go to her website. Definitely find her on Instagram. We're also going to be doing an Instagram live together. So just stay tuned for that. And thank you so, so much for listening to this conversation today. If you feel like somebody else could benefit from it, please share it with them. I feel like this was just so validating and hopefully the perfect message for you to hear. I believe there's a reason that you chose to listen to this episode today. If you're feeling scared or nervous or anxious about being vulnerable or about pivoting in your life or in your business, I want you to take this as a sign to feel through that, accept that feeling, and just keep working through that. There's a reason that you feel a pull to do something specific or to show up in a certain way that feels really good to you. So I hope you will do that and you'll just release that and follow that feeling. Okay, so now I'm going to do my icebreaker question for this episode. And honestly, this one was pretty funny to me. So this week's question is, what was your first record, tape, or CD that you ever owned? Okay, so it's funny to me because now records are like making a comeback or have been making a comeback. I never have personally owned a record. I don't think, probably somehow inherited one from a grandparent or something, but I definitely had cassette tapes before I had any CDs. And my very first one, I can't remember my very, very first one. Like, honestly, it was probably one of my dad's or Buck Owens. But the one that I like physically remember going up to the gas station and picking off the counter was the NSYNC CD that was white and had all the guys' pictures on it, and like the gold and the blue font. So I think it was like their first album, maybe not. I don't know. But I wore that thing out. I listened to it constantly. I had my little cassette Walkman. Like, I'm sure if there's any kids listening to this, which probably not, they're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is that Walkman? But it was amazing. I went through a couple of those because I definitely, I listened to them constantly and I loved them. But we love cassette tapes. And I did finally get rid of it when I was like purging my house a few years ago. I let go of all but like 2 of my cassette tapes because I was like, I don't even have a way to listen to these anymore, but they are very nostalgic for me. So that was very happy for me to just kind of reflect back on my very first cassette tape. And honestly, I'd love to hear what your first cassette tape or CD was. So feel free to DM me on Instagram and I'd love to chat about that. Thank you so, so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss my future episodes. I'll see you in my next video.